Con trenzas. I just said in Spanish, Matthew, that Micaela is back with braids. Hello, Chris. Hi, Egbe. Hello, Barbara. There'll be more people, I think, joining us in a minute. Let's see who turns on their video. Keep admitting people. Hi, Bill. Hello, Lucy, Chrissy, Casey, Cassie or Casey? Cassie. Let's see who else. I think I've said hello to almost everyone that is on video. We'll just wait a minute because we're literally a minute in, and then we'll start this smaller session. Hi, Leticia. Alexandra, hello. Enoch. I'm just seeing people's names. Yeah, Alexandra, I meant you. You leaned forward. And Marcia, Marcia, I don't know, depending. Are you in Brazil? Are you not in Brazil? In Brazil? Yes. Okay. No. Okay. Another Alexandra. Okay. Two Alexandras in 15 people. That's good. You can do the whole Alexandra connection thing. I'm kidding. So welcome all. Let's see who, I think that some of you have been in one of these before. Can you raise your hand? I know that Michaela has been here before. Who else has been here before? Anyone? Good. Michaela, you're going to suffer a little bit hearing things twice. Okay. You okay with that? You can do your email and stuff. So welcome all. My name is Ami, and this is my colleague Matthew here, showing his hand. There are about 40 people here. We had some bigger calls last week, but of course, thank you for catching up with us. Hi, Tim, Khadija. Thank you for joining us. Please, at the bottom of the screen, you can see the little chat icon, and you can say, hello, I am Ami in New York. It'd be lovely to know your names and where you are in the world to get a sense of where we all are right now, everywhere. Cassie's in Atlanta, and let's see where other people are in. Again, you can see the little chat at the bottom. Amalie, Maryland, Chicago, Perth. Oh my God. Okay. Who was that? Perth. Marcia. Oh, not in Brazil, in Perth, Australia. Biggest city in the world, far from everything. Most isolated big city in the world, right? That's your claim to fame. Yep. Western Australia. Nigeria, Tokyo. Ooh, okay. Interesting. And Sydney. What happened today? I don't know. I think so the two sides of Australia are represented. Morocco, hello. Nigeria, again. Ghana, okay. Oh, another Ghana. Okay, thank you. Awesome, thank you so much. So that's the chat. And thank you again for just in 40 people, so many different places. At the bottom also of your screen, you'll see there's a thing that says Q&A. At some point, we will open up for questions, or I think we can also open your mics. I apologize that your mics are all off now, just in case there's noise outside. It will be distracting to have the mics on, so thank you for forgiving us for that. And then, yeah, so what I want to do today is a couple of things. Thank you all for being here. We sent out an email, I think it was about 10, 12 days ago, last Thursday, Friday, to our list. And I think we said that we're looking for, sorry, let me shut down my email because it's going to be noisy. There was an email that said that we're looking for 1,000 volunteers to launch a global initiative. And we didn't know what was going to happen with that. About 8,000 people got back to us. So thank you for being one of them. And then what's happened basically since last Tuesday, we started hosting these calls here. There were about 1,500 people last week. There were bigger, a couple hundred people each. And then this week, things have got more intimate, which is actually nice because we want to hear more from you. I'll say a few things now, but I really want to hear what you're thinking or where you are at. So I want to summarize a little bit about why we did this and why we invited you, and then how we imagine things happening next. A couple things before that. One is just a couple of expectation setting things. You, as you can see, you're all over the world. And over the next, hopefully, we'll stay in touch, and you want to stay in touch with us in the next few weeks and months and maybe years. We'll be in touch with you by email, through the web. About 85% of you gave us your phone number, which felt sort of an amazing trust. And we're going to set up some WhatsApp groups that are just like big to be able to communicate with you. Some of you have found me on LinkedIn. We will probably also use Facebook and other mechanisms, anything that can help you find us, and then also help you find each other. What we've seen over this past week is the most urgent, I think, need that we have is that people want to be in touch with each other locally. So people have been trying, in some cases, to use the chat to say, hey, who else is in Ghana or in Australia and would love to connect you locally. So we're working on that right now. We will send out an email soon asking people if they would be willing to serve as a host for a local group just to get it started. And then, that can be shared going forward. But it'd be lovely to be able to set up local meetups, whether, citywide, countrywide, so people can find each other. So we're working on that to make that happen. Unfortunately, we cannot take a list of 8,000 emails and just send it to all of you and help you find each other. That would not work for, I think, many pretty obvious reasons. So we're working on that. And so we'll be communicating, again, both in that way and trying to get you all to communicate with each other as much as we possibly can. And then one last thing around expectation setting is that, working with people all over the world, and some of you have written me asking for a job or asking for, financial assistance or asking for a visa to the US. And I wish I could do all of those things. I can't do any of them. It's a big vision, a big dream, but we're just, one more organization. And I'm just, a person. I'm not the State Department. I wish I could grant everyone a visa, but I can't. Or that we could all meet somewhere, but I can't really do that. So I hope it's okay to say once that I can't, the idea is to have a situation where we all do more together, but we can't help people individually with specific jobs or money or a visa or things like that. Take a step back about why we sent out this mail, why we're here, what we're trying to do. I think the basic idea here, or the basic sense, I think that so many of us have is that the world and our neighborhood, our community, our city, our country could and should be better. I think many of us feel that way. And I think and you can use the chat to respond or just, if you agree or disagree. Basically, many of us feel that way. And I think we're correct. We feel that way for many reasons. There are at least two reasons that I think we can name, which is that if we're old enough, and I think I'm looking at your faces, I think all of us are old enough to have seen a city, a street, a school get better, right? All of us have seen something in our lives, substantial, a neighborhood, get better at some point. Things can get better. And I think as human beings, we extrapolate from that. We say, well, when I came to New York in 92, 30 years ago, and there were 2,000 murders every year. It was pretty scary to be out in the street. And this year there were fewer than 300, which is sort of amazing, the lowest number in the history of New York, recorded history. And so I've seen New York get much better. And I can say, well, if this can happen here, it can also happen in other places. So we've seen things get better. We know that can happen. That's one. And I think also that many of us have been lucky in our lives to at least once, and maybe many times, be part of a group of good people that gets unleashed to do something cool together, to build something. And we know how that feels. We know how it feels to do something cool with other people. And when we are unleashed to creatively do something. So again, if we extrapolate from that to many, many people, we know that things can get better and could be better. So the question then is how? And there are many answers to that. One answer that we are proposing that I shared with you in that email that you saw, and I think in the video that some of you read, was this basic idea that what if once a month at least, we all did something, at least one good thing for our neighborhood, our corner of the world, together, alone, with others, etc. And the idea here being that if at least once a month we have the opportunity, the excuse, the permission to propose something, do something, etc., that will get bigger and deeper over time. We'll create sort of groups to help organize that, and that will lead to much better things. If we extrapolate a bit, if we think people have asked, what's the end goal of this? if I think simply between now and the end of next year, if we start, and we'll talk in a second about starting in a bigger way in May, but between 5/5 and the end of next year, there are 20 months, right, between now and the end of next year. And if we imagine this happening 20 times, reaching many, many, many people and trying to make it so that any person anywhere that we can reach feels that if they want to do something good, they have a way to start and someone to do it with. That would be an amazing goal to meet. So that's the basic idea here. And then around that, we realized a few years ago that there are these 12 dates, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, that are memorable and that work all over the world. If you say, meet me on 3/3, everyone knows what that means. If I say, meet me on 3/4, it could be April 3rd or March 4th, but these actually work and they're memorable. So why not? So that's the basic idea. And all of that around, again, some really fundamental values that I think so many of us share. And one thing that's been very moving over the last couple of weeks, seeing in these calls, is seeing people from literally every corner of the world, as I think you're already seeing in this call, from every religion, every point of view, every age almost, that people agree that, we want more freedom, more dignity, more generosity, more respect, more kindness, and that these are things that we agree on. And even Chris agrees that he wants that. So yes, so around those values that so many people I think share all over the world, what if once a month we actually help each other do much more? That's the basic idea here. So if that made sense, and hopefully it made sense enough that you showed up here, the question then for us at Idealist was, how do we actually start? And how do we start at scale? Because what happened was, even before COVID, we started experimenting a little bit with this. We experimented here in New York, we experimented in Facebook, we experimented a little bit in a few places. But then more recently, we thought, how do we actually launch this at scale? Because we feel that this could, involve many, many people around the world. And so two things came up. One, that if you're doing something monthly, constantly, and you constantly focus, for example, now, if we were saying, what do we do on 3/3? What do we do then on 4/4? If it's always a couple of weeks away, it's hard to plan and to involve more people. So we deliberately said, let's pick a date that is 2 or 3 months out, in this case, 5/5, so we can reach more people, build more critical mass, and especially institutionally, if you think about asking, your boss to get involved in something, a school, an organization, a company, institutions need time to meet, to decide, to get back to you. And so saying, hey, let's start bigger on 5/5 helps us reach more people and get more people involved. Now, of course, it doesn't really matter if they miss 5/5, they can join us on 6/6, 7/7. That's the beauty of this. But that was one thing, to just pick a date that was a little bit further out. And then as we talk to more people think, what could I do? And we'll go in a second through sort of a menu of ideas, but it felt useful to at least have a base or sort of a model, a theme from which to start that would be a default thing. And so we thought at first we had a bad idea. It's funny, I'm watching Meredith Wright's background. Meredith, I don't know if that's supposed to be a sunrise or a sunset. Looks like a sunset, but I'm not sure. But the reason I bring it up is that we had this one bad idea of saying, and I'll tell you why it's a bad idea, but we thought, the sun rises over the world. So an Idealist day, a day of this is going to start with the sunrise. Let's all watch the sunrise together and go from there. And then realized, that means getting up really early. In some cases, it's dark out there. It could be scary. So what if instead of sunrise, which we also could do, and we'll get that to that in a second, what if we simply all have breakfast together with a very broad sense of what this, global community breakfast could mean? We then expand it to be, we're a 24-hour restaurant. You can join us for breakfast any time of the day, if that works for you better. But at least have a sense of, let's do something together that makes sense everywhere. We all start our day somehow. And so why not? So that was a basic idea. I'll tell you more about it in a second. But that was just a place to start and to inspire at least a conversation, so things don't spread to, oh, like, my God, what should we do? Oh, well, we could start this way, but then we could add to that. It's easier to, sometimes improvise on something that improvise on nothing, if that makes sense. So we start from something and then go from there. So that's where we are, and that's where we sent you an invitation. What I want to do right now is I'm going to share my screen for like a few minutes, 5 minutes, just take you through a few slides, really tiny number of slides, and then come back and tell you where we are now and open for questions and conversation. Okay? You guys are with me? Well, thank you. So I'm going to do that right now. let me chat you here, not chat, let me share my screen. Done this already several times. I will share my screen. Somebody will say they're seeing my screen being shared. Thank you for that. Let me turn this off. I want to go back to show meetings. I want to go back to my other screen. Okay, so you can all see that it says, let's imagine 5-5. And so let's try to imagine 5-5. So as I said, a very quick summary, we try to think of something that we could all do that would work everywhere and that would do two things at the same time, that would both strengthen, local connections, friends, neighbors, colleagues, just like literally have people strengthen their neighborhood. And at the same time, celebrate our shared humanity, for lack of a better word of saying this. Basically, all over the world, again, to show and to see that there are people who share these fundamental values. There are too many places in the world right now where people tell us that those people over there on the other side of whatever line divides us, that those people over there are bad people. They're not like us. They're not, they're not as human as we are. And to show that, in fact, this is not true, to show that all over the world, there are wonderful people would be wonderful. And then again, something that felt, easy and beautiful to start. So again, this is just a theme to start that people can then improvise on in any way you want. So when you signed up, some of you landed also on this page. You can see that this screenshot says 3,600 people attending this global breakfast. But Matthew, I think, is going to share the URL with you right now. It's luma.com/idealistday55, I think it is. And a couple of things about the screen. One is that this event is posted on a tool called Luma. It's just a company that does, I think, beautiful event software. It is free. Any of you can sort of sign up and create events there. And one very nice thing they do is free, no ads, etc. You have to pay if you have many, many subscribers, but it's free. And then once you create an event of any sort, you can add it to a calendar. And so there's a place now called luma.com/idealist. If you go there, you'll see 3 events that are listed for next couple of months. And the point is, over the next few weeks, with all of you those who want to participate, we'll be adding many, many events there. And by promoting one calendar, we're all promoting all of our activities around the world in one searchable place. So that's just the tool, which we'll share more details about with you. The idea on this specific page was to show and to see that around the world there are people that are really interested in doing this kind of thing. And then we'll go again from here, we'll organize locally wherever we are. And this event will simply serve as a place to go from, and also will be online together that day. The photo on the top left of those 4 hands with some food simply is to show that this could truly be everything. It could be as small but meaningful as someone, maybe who is alone somewhere at home and can't really see more people, or someone living in a repressive regime or a dangerous place and they don't want to be seen, or they can't do things with other people. And all they do is they post a photo, maybe with a cup of tea, and maybe they just post their hand, or the cup of tea is hiding their face, but they're participating and they're showing us that they're participating. So it can be everything from a simple photo of here's me with my loved ones. These are our hands. These happen to be my daughters and my wife and my mother-in-law last summer in Spain. But here, this is us, and you can see that we're participating, all the way to something as big as in New York. I mentioned the sunrise earlier, and that is something that I really want to do. And so when we started thinking about this a little while ago, Matthew and I, we thought, what would we want to do that day if we're inviting other people? And we said, well, let's actually cross the Brooklyn Bridge at sunrise and see what the city looks like at that hour. That'll be beautiful. So we haven't promoted it very much yet, but there are already a couple hundred people that have joined us. And so hopefully it'll be a big thing here. But all this to just say how broad this could be. Everything from some hands in a photo all the way to hundreds of people doing something together in whatever way we want to do it. It can be any and all of the above, anywhere in the world. And the more we do around the world, we show this, this collage, this mosaic of kindness and action together. So that's that. And then what I want to do in the next just 2 minutes is take you through just a few more ideas of what this could look like wherever you are. What we're trying to do with the set of ideas I'll show you now, I want to show you, 20 very, very quickly. Hopefully at least one of those, if not more, make you think, oh, I could easily do that. Of course, I can do that. And if I can do that, then you can do this and you can do that. And together we end up with something fantastic. Or it'll make you think of another idea and say, well, I could do that. And now I know what I want to do. Okay. So I'll start with the most sort of obvious stuff, which is when you think, global community breakfast, you think about something with your neighbors, literally. They could be longtime neighbors, they could be new neighbors. It's an excuse for going across the street or going down the street or going up and down the building and saying, it's time that we should all meet. I got some cookies. I'm not crazy. This is happening around the world. Don't look at me weird. It's happening around the world that day. And I'm using that excuse to finally say hello to you. I'm looking at you, around the world. And some people live in countries where we don't know our neighbors. Some of you I know think it's insane that you don't know your neighbors. So we have the whole, range of that. Like, how can you not know your neighbors? How is that even possible? So we have a full range of possibility here. And so yes, use an excuse to sort of meet new people or celebrate with people that you know already as part of something bigger. Same idea applied to professional, colleagues. Some of you belong to local networks of people in your line of work or your line of passion or interest, artists, dentists, whatever. Some of us live in places where that group should have been meeting a while back, but it hasn't for some reason. And so again, same idea. Use this day, 5-5 or 6-6 or 7-7 as a reason, an excuse to call people up and say, hey, all the environmental leaders in our town should be meeting finally. Let's all get together and see what we can do together and network together, et cetera, right? In any of these situations, you can choose to invite a speaker or not, someone who wants to, share a story or an idea with the group. Another sort of side of this, some of us may have been wanting to start something for a long time. A neighborhood association, a giving circle where people get together and make a donation and then give it to, another cause. And again, sometimes people just need a push. They need a, yes, I am not weird. I'm doing this thing. Who wants to do it with me? And having a date, having a deadline can be helpful, a milestone. So let's do it together that day. One that I really like a lot is this last one here of honoring or celebrating someone that has been doing a lot for all of us. I think in many cases we live or belong to institutions or places or workplaces where there's a person that really is amazing for all of us, and we haven't thanked them enough. And thinking, it'd be actually pretty cool if that day we bring that person a cake, or we did this thing here once where we have there's somebody there's a doorman in this office building that is just fabulous. And one day we sort of called the elevator and he came up, and the whole staff stood outside and just clapped when he came out of the elevator just to thank him because he's been fantastic. And people don't do that enough. So that's like another kind of thing that can be done. Switching directions here a little bit. If you work for or if you manage a nonprofit, an NGO of any sort, the idea of an open house, telling people in your city, that day, volunteers, donors, curious people, come hear what we do. Come in, we're here, or we will send a speaker out, but come see what we do and how you can get involved with us. So literally having open houses that day. You can set up a table outside. Some people think, oh my God, I would never do that. Some people love doing things like that. Setting up a table in the street, in a park, talking to people, sharing some food, sharing a drink, and just talking to people passing by about what they would like to do, telling them we're doing this around the world. You can have a phone or you can have a computer like this, online on a table, and people will be able to see on Zoom around the world, people doing amazing things together and how they can join us next month. In all these situations, you can have a thing, you can again mix all these ideas together. You can have, little stickies on the wall with some good questions. What would people like to do for the community, and see what comes up in a building, in a street, in a school. Use that opportunity not to do, but to plan something bigger for next time or for next month. This can happen, of course, every day. Organize a group of people, a group of friends, and just, say, hey, let's take a walk, let's take a hike, let's take a bike ride, and then have a meal together just for fun, because fun is important. And we'll talk about that more in a second. Same thing with, yoga, exercise, meditation, whatever it is that you like doing, just bring it into this and then share with more people. Visiting a place where, a senior center where older people live, and simply having breakfast with them there or any of those meals. Someone said last week, which I thought was lovely, that she leads a group of singers, that they have an a cappella group, a little sort of choir. And so taking her singing group to a senior center and singing to them in the morning and then being with them or playing music will be lovely. Can do the same thing in the school, actually serve at a shelter or a soup kitchen. And then again, final sort of switch of gears, actually going and like doing something like cleaning up a beach, a river, painting a mural, planting a tree or more trees. There's a gentleman in Nigeria who got in touch last week. He is trying to organize his whole village to go out that day and plant trees to protect the village from the desert that's coming down from the north, the Sahara. So do that. Games can be a wonderful way of getting people together. There are all kinds of interesting games for getting communities together. And then lastly, of course, raising money for a cause or an organization locally and then just donating it to them. And then, to close this thought, just that if any of this helps even just one person that has been wanting to do something for a while and they finally go and do it because a group is supporting them and sort of clapping for them and say, you can actually do this, that would be fantastic. And then please take a photo so we can all share this and see what happens. So the idea here will be that any of these ideas are welcome, any time of the day. Again, this theme of breakfast, but please extend it if you like. In New York already, we said, we're thinking about the sunrise piece. There's also a sunset picnic that's planned as well. And there'll be things happening throughout the day. And the whole point, of course, is as we move forward every month, to have the day filled up with all kinds of events. But the breakfast is just like a default. If you can't think of anything else, let's do that. But it can be anything, and it'll be over 24 hours, wherever you are. Of course, there's no time zone issue. There are three basic things that we'll ask all of you or anyone to do. One is fairly obvious, it might seem. Before that day or during the event or wherever you are, please tell people that this is part of something bigger, right? This may sound obvious, but it doesn't. You can invite some friends and go take a walk, or invite some friends and have breakfast together, and forget to tell them that day all over the world this is going on. I mean, that would be a waste to not share that with people and to not in fact show them this is happening everywhere. At the end, it'd be lovely to in some way report back, let us know what happened, let us know each other what happened, share some photos, maybe even ask your people how they felt. And then sometime in the middle, I think sometimes you have to ask people to do this, for everyone to just like take out their phones and take a photo of what's going on. And if they feel it, to share that on their social media, their LinkedIn, their Facebook, their WhatsApp, and invite everyone they know to join all of us next month, right? We're going to be doing this and more on 6677, wherever you are in the world. Please join us. So lots and lots of people saying that day would help all of us do even more next time. So that's the basic idea. One last thing I want to say before opening up. And again, if you have any questions at all, if this is not clear, please use the Q&A at the bottom. Thank you for the heart. Let me stop sharing for 1 second where I get my thing back here. I said earlier this thing about going for a walk or crossing a bridge. There's something here that if we want to do this month after month over the next, whoever, as long as it lasts, I don't know, forever maybe, there has to be an element of fun to this. It can't be just it's like, oh my God, the world is terrible, and once a month we get together to sort of fix it. There has to be an element. We also have to smile. There has to be an element of it cannot be the kind of thing that people feel, oh God, that day is coming up again. Where do I hide so nobody finds me and asks me to do something? Like, it cannot be that. It has to be exactly the opposite. That day is coming up soon, and what wonderful thing will happen, right? Where, it's funny, I haven't mentioned this before this last week. I just remember that I was with my wife in Paris, I think, like 10 or more years ago. And I think it was June 21. I think it was the day of the solstice. And it's a day in Paris where basically in every second corner, you see someone making music in some way. So you're walking down the streets and there's a pianist here, there's a chorus there, the opera orchestra is standing outside playing all day. The city is just full of music. And it just makes you feel good, right? It's a nice thing to do. You're not going to try to avoid the music. So this same kind of thing of like, oh, this day is coming this month. What wonderful thing will happen? What will we do together? And so there are things that we can do that literally fix a problem. Let's paint that wall. Let's, fix this. Let's plan that. And there are things that just for community, and just is not a bad thing. So when we say that we would love to cross the Brooklyn Bridge that day at sunrise, I think we're all very aware that several hundred people crossing a bridge in the morning is not going to solve poverty in New York. We understand that, but it's going to make a bunch of people feel better, feel more powerful, go to work with a smile, feel that we can actually do things together. There's, I think, an absence right now all over the world of wins, of feeling that we can win, that we can do amazing things together and use all this technology that we have from email to Zoom, this miracle that I'm seeing you over the world together, and that we can, around the world, if we can just do this one thing, if we can pull this off, if we can do something where around the world, hundreds of groups of people are doing something similar with a similar vibe and similar values, and we can show each other we did that, so much can come from that. That one small victory can then lead to much more if we can feel that way. So that fun piece, that whimsy piece is important as well. Laughing is also important. Dancing is important. Feeling good is important, and not just, complaining and feeling bad about things. So I hope that makes sense. Let me see what's in the chat. And please, for you again, if you have any questions at all, I have to drop off early. Please, no problem at all, Cassia. So you find me on LinkedIn. Yeah, I don't see any questions here. If you have any questions, put them in the Q&A. Maybe I was clearer than usual today. Maybe you guys are shy. I don't know. Please put your questions there, and or raise your hand if you want to sort of say anything. Yeah, especially if you haven't been here before, if you haven't spoken before, if anyone wants to, I don't know. I could pick on Michaela again. Michaela has joined us before. She is, as she said, she's Peruvian from Missouri. She's an artist. She's great, and she maybe wants to say something or not. I don't know. It's up to you. Yeah, Ella, you want to say something? Go for it. So, Matthew, do you see Michaela with the green shirt? I think it's a shirt. Go for it.
Hi. It's a blouse. Um, yeah, glad to be here for the second time. Um, I thought about something last time on the first on Monday, but I didn't talk about it because I just wanted it to be a little bit more like thought through in my mind. But it could be something that happens not like every month, but I thought of this thing called Songs for Hope that could happen like every 2 or 3 months, kind of to mark the seasons changing. And it would be more of like towards the evening. It could welcome, I mean, I will be, right now I'm in Missouri, but I will be in New York. And actually, I've never been there, but I have friends and family there. So I'm just thinking of perhaps getting somewhere. Maybe it could be like the same place every time where people could bring in songs that either they wrote or cover songs too, and in any language, what when the where they just like speak about hope and like positive things. Sorry, I get like a little bit. Um, but yeah, that's kind of like the overarching theme of it. Also providing people with like the translated lyrics so that we can all understand the message that's being conveyed. It can also be poetry or maybe short stories. But yeah, as Amy said, fun is important. So I feel like it could be kind of like an evening gathering, like on the specific dates. Um, yeah, but I don't know what other people think about that. But and I'm saying it here because I'm like anyone can do it. Anyone and everyone can do it. It's a thing that could happen in different places because I know that music is something that really brings us together. And I have a lot of friends that are artists and musicians, and I just see how beautiful the messages that they share are, and I just know that we all have a song within us, even if it is something that we write or something that we just resonate with. Like it could be a song that we didn't write, but we just want to share and sing, and yeah, like an open mic, but a little bit more, but only about hope. Yeah.
Thank you, Michaela. I love that. And I think one of the things that's been happening in these calls is that, which has been really wonderful, and now, we can move this to action, is that when people start realizing the breadth of what we're saying, then all these amazing ideas come out, right? We're literally saying that this is a party to which anyone is invited. I mean, all 8 billion people have something they could do. Like if you're an artist, come do your art. If you are a poet, we can do a bunch of poetry readings outside in the summer, right? It would be beautiful to actually have a poetry reading outside. If you want to sing, sing. If you want to, fix things, fix things. If you want to show up at a nonprofit and say, what I bring is I know how to do data, and I want to show up one day with you and just interview about your data and help you with that, that's fantastic. So anyone can do anything. And the more, I think we have enough ideas here to elicit more ideas, right? So this man last week, somebody from Nepal said, it's 5/5. I'm going to walk 55 kilometers across, my sort of province to spread the word about, the good that can be done by people. So I think there are so many of these ideas can be added once people really say, oh my God, we're actually inviting everyone to do one thing that they feel like doing. Oh wow, this could be amazing, right? Because like it's not just this is not a minority thing where it's a small group. We're saying everyone can do something. And it's funny, I was looking at the rest of the year now, and the year now does this funny thing where basically from now on, every even date for Idealist Days is a Saturday or Sunday. So 4, 4, 6, 6, 8, 8, 10, 10, 12, 12, I think are all Saturdays. And then the odd days are weekdays. And so if you think about people, even, companies letting people take the day to do something cool, it's only like 3 or 4 days or 2 or 3 days basically, because the other days are Saturdays anyway. And so if people, want to take the day on 5/5 or 7/7 or 9/9 and do something cool outside, that's possible as well. So anyway, so many ideas are welcome. And once that becomes a thing, and the thing about someone like you, Michaela, is that other artists, so people, right? People, nurses know nurses, teachers know teachers. And once we start spreading the word, it can spread relatively quickly. Anyway, sorry, I got excited about your idea, and I see it. I see you
I
outside,
see
and
it
that
too.
makes me happy. So thank you. And
Yeah.
it's also, by the way, it's also very, you've all seen these videos of these flash mobs, right? So basically, if you, Michaela, stood with 20 friends in the middle of New York and started singing, you'd be noticed. And if you simply had a sign that says, see us on 6/6 as well, then that's it. Like it's as simple as that. It's a very noticeable thing. Yeah. Anyway, who wants to go next? Chris has been like going like this, but yeah, I think mostly like this, but that's good. Um, let's see. Anyone please jump in. I don't know. Marcia, what's up in Perth? Are you in the middle of winter? No, summer, sorry. You're in the middle of summer, right? You can't speak, but Matthew will allow you to speak, and then we'll go to Fatumata.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it is actually summer here, and I put a question in the chat. Just to understand how we find people from the same city, because it's 5:38 a.m. here in Perth, so I didn't think anyone from Perth would join. And yeah, I love all the ideas, and I just have a question for you. What was the most wonderful thing that you saw happening, in your career, trying to promote, well-being and good things happening in the world?
Oh my God. I'm going to say something really stupid, Marcia, because no, I'm not. Well, yes, I'm going to say it just because I thought of this. You asked me what was the most wonderful thing I saw in my career. The most wonderful thing I saw in my career was my wife on my wedding day. That's the most wonderful thing I saw in my career. So this is not work related, but that's the most wonderful thing I have seen. So that's the first thing that came to mind. I'm sorry. I've seen wonderful people doing amazing things. I think that we live in a world now that magnifies, what celebrities do and things like that. When you talk just to normal people like all of us, I mean, none of us is a celebrity. We're just living our lives. There's so much daily courage, so many people doing amazing things, so much, in any hospital, in any neighborhood, there are people like really doing incredible things for all of us. And so I think sometimes we're surrounded by courage and hope, and we have to just learn to see it more, but we're surrounded by all of it. So I think I've seen so much. I also, the stories, I'm going to guess, Marcia, we don't have to go into it. You're Brazilian or Portuguese, and you somehow ended up in Perth. And I love these sort of modern stories of how a Brazilian ends up in Western Australia. And I think that's the other lovely thing about this work is all these personal stories of, how you ended up there, of all the possible places in the world, how did you end up in Perth from Brazil, right? So that is lovely too. But again, sorry. So the question of how you find other people, I said at the beginning, what's going to happen over the next, few days is that you will all get an email with a little form that says, Marcia, would you like to be someone in Perth that other people can congregate around? And that we will tell you how to do it. You will basically put up something that people can then find you, and then you can decide after that how you want to be in touch. We're not going to tell you, different places and different kinds of people and different situations. Sometimes somebody may want to do this by WhatsApp or by Discord or by Slack or by Facebook or by email or simply by meeting at a local coffee shop twice a week, depending on where you live. And so we won't tell you how to do it. We'll give you some basic ideas and suggestions, but we'll get you together and then you'll take it from there. Okay. Plus, I hope that you know other people in Perth that we don't know, and you can just invite them. So if you can get all the Brazilians in Perth plus anybody else, get them over. Matthew, we had somebody else before, and I'm not seeing her. Fatumata, there you are. Do you want to speak? I'm sorry, we missed you earlier. And if I'm pronouncing your name right or wrong, tell me. Fatumata?
Oh, yes, Fatoumata Badji Traoré. My full name is Fatoumata Badji Traoré. When I first subscribed to Idealist, they had this idea of meet people in a foreign university. So it was a program that was available that people are supposed to meet with somebody when they have a chance to communicate with that person, and help the person to know the place or share your idea of a where you live. Like right now, I'm living in the United States, New York, that I'm supposed to be sharing my living place with the person. So I don't know if in case that situation presents again, for example, somebody from Ghana, because during my study in Russia, I had a friend from Ghana that I lost contact with her. So in case there is in the future, if there is a opportunity to do something like that, when you have a right to meet with somebody and be helpful and share your culture, your living places with person, I'm available for that kind of thing. It was a one-time thing. That's the first thing I subscribe on the Idealist when I subscribe in the Idealist, that to have a chance to meet somebody one-time thing and share for a couple hours, to share your background with the person, to discuss the country you live in with the person.
Oh.
So I'm considered available for something like that in case it become available.
Thank you, Fatumata. I think we have done that. One thing I do remember, which I love, is again another example. Some of you may have heard of this. There's this project, I think, in Denmark that is gorgeous, called the Human Library. So basically, you go to your local library, and instead of reading a book, you read a person. So basically, you go into the library, you sit down, and somebody sits across from you, and you have 20 minutes or half an hour, and they tell you their life. So I would go to a library in Australia, in Perth, and I would find Marcia there. And instead of reading a book, Marcia would tell me the story of her life. And then maybe I would tell her the story of my life. So it's this idea of a human library, which is also very beautiful and we're very easy to organize as well on these kind of days. There's something about meeting people that are different from us that sometimes simply doesn't happen enough in our lives, right? You see it in New York. New York is an incredibly diverse place, and yet, just a Puerto Rican family in New York, I'm generalizing, a Puerto Rican family will basically never have dinner with a Bangladeshi family that they don't know, and that would be maybe lovely if that's what they want. And so to basically just connect people in a way that just feels good and safe, but to find a way to be with people that you wouldn't meet otherwise is another, I think, good thing that we can do with all this community building. Let's see. Anything else? I want to pick Lucy. What are you thinking? You're thinking. What are you thinking? Lucy Curran.
Oh my goodness, so many thoughts. I'm not sure where to start. This is very inspiring, and I'm really grateful to be here with all of you. I think you sort of touched on this in your presentation, but just the boost that it gives to each individual to know that other people are also taking action around the world, I think is really key. And I'm really grateful for that sort of shared momentum building. I don't know that I have specific ideas to add, like that are fully formed. But I'm an artist and musician, and so I'm thinking of I really liked the idea that Michaela offered of like the songs of hope, and I was thinking of like iterating on that and finding friends to play music with, or to do like when you mentioned the setting up a table to share coffee with passersby, I thought you could do that in combination with like a you know, make your own piece of art for the day kind of stand where people could stop and just have a moment to be creative. So yeah, so lots of thoughts. I'm really
Very nice.
excited, and the wheels will keep turning.
Where are you, Lucy?
I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay, cool, wonderful. Not that far from Michaela, a little bit, a drive. She's in Missouri, so you know. Anyway, let's see. Marikai, can you tell us how you pronounce your name? Marikai, Mary Kay, you tell us.
Yes, it's Mary Kay. Hi. And I'm in San Diego, California. And I wanted to say how great it is to just know that there's other people in the world who think like this, think like I do, because for a long time, I know for myself, I always felt like the odd one out, and like other people didn't really want to do these things. Like who, you're weird if you want to set up a little coffee stand and talk to people, the strangers that are passing by. But that was something I always had a vision of, was like, okay, if I have a house, I could go outside and maybe cook a big pot of beans and some tea or something, and then just engage with people that are passing by and, things like that. So I think it's really great that you have this vision, and it's become so big and so wide, and we can see all of the people who are also just like me and just like all of us.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you just for a second. This is, the 10th call that we've done, I think, and poor Matthew has been here with me for all 10 of them. And I'm just so moved by all of you right now. Truly, it's almost as if you've been here. Most of you are here for the first time, but it feels like you've been here for a while, and it's like been building up, like almost like in your absence, and you somehow felt it building. Anyway, whatever. Matthew, I'm going to pick on you for a second. I haven't done this a whole week. So my colleague Matthew here used to do this thing called subway therapy, and because he's not so Matthew looks normal, but is a little bit crazy. And Matthew used to, he'll add more, but I'll set up the thing for you. Matthew has a photo that he can also share with you. He used to take a little table and put it out on the subway in New York, in the metro, in the subway, with a little chair, and he would wear a little tie, and he would hang a false diploma on the wall that said that he's a therapist, and he would do subway therapy. He would invite people to just talk to him, hundreds of people over months. And people would say, why are you doing this? And he would say, because I like it. And so, Matthew, you want to add to that? I set you up. Can you tell us more about what you did and why and how it felt and what happened?
Yeah, sure. I'll also, let's see, I'm looking for a good one with my little suit. I think I found a pretty good one. So you're going to see some sticky notes. I'm going to share a window. You'll see some, I do a project with Post-it notes as well. And so you'll see there's a lot of Post-its, but I do participatory public artworks. It's part of the reason why I'm so passionate about this campaign, because I think that anybody can go out and do like these really simple things. This is maybe a good example. Let's see. Where's the actual picture? Anyway, I think you can kind of get the gist of it, but I used to set up a table, chairs, a little sign, and I would just talk to anybody that wanted to sit down. That was the original version of the project. And then that turned into this Post-it project after a time. Here we go. Here's
Subway.
a good. So this is what I used to do. It was really a fascinating project, and it cost me. I had the shirt, I got the tie and like a bag of ties for $5 from a thrift store or from a garage sale. I think the suit I got. I don't even know where I got the suit from. The wall art and the certificate of achievement are from the dollar store. So I think in total I spent $60 to do this, and I just sat and I talked to people for months, and then it ended up turning into this other thing that you can see with sticky notes. But it just sort of like turned into this whole thing that became my life, and completely changed the trajectory that I was going on. And I think, to kind of answer the question more specifically, the feeling that I got from doing something really, it seemed kind of small, but what it ended up becoming was a life's work of doing participatory projects that invite people to share themselves with each other, either with me or with other people. And I think now, to philosophize a bit, since I have the podium, people are maybe like doing this with their phones, and they're not really existing in the world. And what projects like this and different local actions that we're encouraging people to take, what they do is they invite people to take a path towards a way of interacting with other people that's always been amazing. Other people are awesome. And if you interact with them in certain ways, they are amazing too. And you can bring that out in other people. And so, what I really learned from this project is that just by going outside, by involving yourself with the community, by doing small things, um, you can live a very extraordinary life and be really successful too. It's not like there are all these ways that I don't think we use technology to our advantage. Like, why aren't, if we have all these LLMs and AI and all this stuff, why aren't there just telephones that say having a bad day, pick up this phone? Like, why aren't there a bunch of phones all over the place in major cities and other initiatives? Like, they're not even expensive. I do telephone projects, so it wouldn't be even hard to implement, but we just don't. Um, anyway, I have lots of thoughts about why people do and don't do things, but yeah, thanks for giving me the platform to share. Yeah, it feels really good to do stuff. Do it.
I want to hear from Chris, but like what one of the last things that Matthew did was he went to a public square here, I think it was Union Square, and he put up just a phone in the middle of the park, and the phone by itself, an old phone, and the phone would ring, and people were looking at the phone, and then people would approach the phone and pick it up, and he was hiding somewhere with a camera, like looking at them, and people would pick up the phone and basically just talk to someone that is actually talking to them. But this idea of, again, of just a stranger, there's a phone ringing and you can just pick it up, it's okay. So I think things like that would be fabulous, and doing them in public would be amazing. Chris, and then we'll yeah, Chris, go for it.
Okay, that's unmuted. Hi, Ami.
Chris.
This is incredible, and it fits very nicely into my particular situation. But I'm wondering how all these 8,000 people that responded to you connected to Idealist in the first place. I actually was looking for a volunteer position, and connected with somebody and wound up writing a short story, maybe before Christmas, about my first opportunity of volunteering in a big organization. We had 400 volunteers and about 6 staff, and I wound up getting the job of my lifetime through this volunteer thing. That was just, I wouldn't go away, so they hired me. And that made all the difference in the entire rest of my life. I got the job at 65 when I should have retired, and I did retire at 69 when I had some health issues. But the volunteer opportunity and meeting those people, I still have a weekly Zoom meeting with 5 of them from the tent, and it's been 8 years since I was there. So this Idealist is, it's expanded out from, find a job or a volunteer opportunity. And this is a great extension. And I look forward to supporting it one way or another. But I'm interested to know how other people found Idealist and got on your list. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Chris. As we maybe begin to wrap up, if anyone wants to take the chat to actually answer that question, how and when did you end up with Idealist? It could have been through Idealist, it could have been through Volunteer Match, it could have been looking for a job, it could have been looking for an opportunity locally or abroad. Michaela told me yesterday that she was in Peru a month ago in the Sacred Valley there, and a friend told her that works for a nonprofit there, you should check this site out. So I think there's so many different people. One of the things that's been extraordinary when you guys filled out that form that you filled out, last week, people told us, tell us about yourself. It's been, I understand, nonprofit people in the US looking for a job. So here they are. But then having someone that tells me, I'm a 20-year-old barber in Morocco, and I would love to find a way to help people that are living on the street with my, I would love to cut their hair. And that's like amazing, right? Or this man who says, I'm in Afghanistan and I have a 9-year-old daughter who's not allowed to go to school. What can I do? And to suddenly realize that these people and these stories are all on this site. And we had no idea because we don't ask you for that kind of thing when you sign up, right? So it's just beautiful to learn all these different people. And again, we sent out one email, you showed up, we're going to send out a few more, we're going to get more people, we're going to get your friends, will be more, but it's a great start. So thank you all so much for being here. There's two little things that we're doing at the end of these calls. One is Matthew will tell you in a second what he does, and then we'll wrap up the call in another way. But Matthew, you want to do the photo? This is smaller,
Yeah.
small, but go for it.
Yeah, if everyone wants to turn on their camera, we are going to take a group photo. So go ahead and do that now. We have we'll give you guys a few seconds. There's reactions at the bottom of your Zoom call. You can see them at the bottom. You can make hearts come up. You can do all kinds of fun stuff. And then depending on what computer you have, you might have reactions that you can do based on hand signals, which is kind of fun. So you could do that if you want to. And great, this looks like our group. So let's go ahead and take our picture in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you all. We have no way to share it with you this one. Maybe we'll actually find a way of doing that, of sharing these photos with you. But one last thing is that Matthew will turn all the mics on right now. And so if anyone wants to turn their mic to just say goodbye or good night or good morning or good afternoon. Marcia, you're actually really good morning to you. It's what, 6 a.m. now? Thank you for being with us at this crazy hour of the night. But thank you all. And those who didn't speak, we'll hope to hear from you again, Joseph and Egbe and everybody else. So you can turn on your mics now if you want, and you can say, good night, good morning, goodbye. We'll see you soon. Good night, you're all on.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
This was wonderful.
Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Love Matthew's idea.